what's interesting is if you don't do anything in life and you sort of just run on autopilot, your mind, your ego mind, will run your life, right? You know that. But what's interesting is you can increase your consciousness. You can also just sort of wake up and realize, oh God, man, I'm alive. And not only am I alive, but I'm aware that I'm alive. And anyway, this is just barely scratching the surface of what it means to be a conscious person or to be conscious. Really, to be conscious is to be awake to what you are spiritually. But even then, you don't need to go quite that far when you're just becoming a conscious person. It's not about awakening, it's about living consciously. So, man, where do you begin with this, man? It's kind of tricky. Being conscious is about, very simply, man, it's bringing consciousness to everything you're doing. And it's living consciously. So, for example, when you socialize as a conscious person, you will begin to feel the difference. So, when I was younger, I would socialize, I would communicate in a way where I wasn't actually telling the truth. I wasn't actually speaking and saying what I actually thought and was experiencing. I was just saying stuff to survive socially that was inauthentic, that would help me fit in. And yeah, I wasn't authentic. But then as I became conscious, I was like, oh wait, I can see myself now. Now that I'm aware of myself and who I am, I'm going to try to speak more from my heart, Whereas when you're an unconscious person, or even just not a conscious person, you could say a kind of normal, ordinary, normie person, it's more acceptable to just bullshit your way through life and to enter the social domain in a bullshitty way where you just bullshit. But when you're a conscious person, you don't have a tolerance for that anymore, man. You can't stand bullshit small talk. Now, on the one hand, you can love small talk for the way it functions in life. You can see that small talk makes the world go around. It's part of life. But you just know that you have a different orientation to this whole thing called socializing, friends, family. Who you are in relation to that changes. And how it changes is in the direction of consciousness, self-awareness, honesty, and truth. So when you're talking to a conscious person, when you can feel that they're being honest with you, they're being emotionally honest. They tell the truth. They say what's going on for them. They know their values. They know themselves. You can feel it. You're like, wow, you don't talk like everyone else. You talk in your own way. I've had people say that to me, like, you talk in a very particular way. Like, it's different. I kind of like it. This is because, notice, have you ever realized this, man? You've never really ever spoken, ever in your entire life, until you actually speak from yourself. To be a conscious person is to wake the fuck up and to actually speak from your true self. Not from your mind, not from your socially conditioned self. No, from your fucking heart, bro. That's where to speak from, right? So, this is one way where you can wake up and you can become more conscious and you will change in the social domain. Let's take another one. Okay, let's go for diet and health. Wow, okay. So, I can definitely speak on this, man, because I used to be very unconscious with my diet. I would eat relatively healthily, but I would also not. I would also have a ton of shit, a ton of junk food because I liked it because it was a nice escapist thing. It was also a nice coping mechanism for my emotions. It was something that I didn't value health. That's the bottom line. Whereas a conscious person, you, as your conscious self, you know what you value, man? You value the higher reward. You value the clear mind and the fasted state. You value a better sleep and your body feeling cleaner. These are all higher consciousness values, things that you want deep down, but you have not arrived at a point where they are important enough to you for you to make the change and for you to live in this more conscious way. However, as you become more conscious, for example, let's say you had your first psychedelic experience and oh my gosh, or should I say, oh my God, because you're going to be experiencing some frequency or or vibration of God, or maybe you're going to be experiencing God itself because you're awakening. You don't have to, man, but still, you're going to be entirely experiencing your body differently, and you're going to be feeling so much more sensitive. You're going to be like looking at an apple and like, oh my God, like it's a real piece of food. For most people, what this kind of experience does is it just gives them a state of higher consciousness that they've never had before. And so when they go to eat, they're so aware. Like recently, I was eating an apple and I took a bite out of it. It's real food. It's actual nature. It's what we're meant to eat. We're meant to eat real things, not, and I love this phrase, edible food-like products, right? We're meant to eat real food. Conscious people eat real food. Vegetables, fruit, nuts, and etc. Obviously, there's other stuff there, man, but, stuff that is real and alive. Stuff with prana, high prana. Ideally, you begin to feel if a piece of food has life within it. You want to eat foods with high amounts of life force. Does the food contain prana? Notice, there is a certain vibration to eating a fresh melon or mango or pineapple or watermelon. You can freaking feel it in your body. But if you eat some plain ass dumb biscuit that's dead, it's not even dead, but you know what I mean? There's nothing there. It's manufactured, it's artificial, it's not real. It's processed, it's ultra processed, it's fucking shit. You can feel in your body as a conscious person, your cells are awake and alive. You can tell that you're meant to eat the watermelon and not the fucking biscuit. Now listen, man, I love biscuits, but I don't eat them too much. You know why? Because as a conscious person, I value my body and my health. When you're conscious, your values shift. You start to genuinely prefer your body feeling good rather than, satisfying that, I really fancy a biscuit. It takes courage. I know. You got to give up a lot of stuff you love. I know, but it's worth it. The truth is, the reason you will do it and the reason you'll be okay with it is because in the long term, when you wake up every single day, your body will feel great. It will feel light. It will feel clean. You'll look in the mirror. Maybe you see your abs. You feel great. You feel like confident. And you take a minute and you're like, wow, I can't believe I spent all of my life asleep eating junk food and waking up feeling groggy and feeling bloated and feeling kind of inflamed and crappy. As a conscious person, you realize that your body is your mind and your mind is your body. You have the intuition and the perception, the clear perception that, dude, your mind and body are one system, and you are awake to this. Another thing that you notice is this. If you drink some alcohol, immediately you can feel that, and you can feel its effect. And what you can definitely feel is the next day, how you feel, and you really distinctly notice that you feel less conscious. And as a conscious person, you know by now that when you feel less conscious, you feel less yourself, because you've maybe woken up spiritually, and maybe you know that you are consciousness. So your relationship to alcohol changes. You might be curious, man. You're like, Seb, do you drink alcohol? Did you drink alcohol? Interestingly, when I was like maybe 15, 16, I didn't really like alcohol because I actually kind of demonized it. I thought weed was great and alcohol is like bad. Well, then I began to start drinking a little bit more, and then I drank a lot. Not like a lot, but I drank, like once or twice a week, and I would drink as much as I pretty much could. And I did that, and I had some really good times. To be honest, I wouldn't change it. But my God, can you become unconscious with alcohol? Jesus Lord. But then, about 4 years ago, I took a sip of alcohol, and I noticed, oh God, I don't think I can ever do this ever again. Because immediately, it made me feel depressed and low consciousness. And what's interesting is I've always had a good experience in alcohol. It kind of like, I already feel good because I live a good lifestyle, and it makes me feel even better. But when I drank alcohol, dude, I was like, why would I do this to myself? It's like if you take a puff of a cigarette and like you're a bit too aware, and you're like, ugh, shit. Whereas when you're drunk, it's nice. It's like sedating and stuff, it feels smooth. So the reason I'm mentioning this is because you will, as a conscious person, outgrow alcohol and cigarettes too, probably. And really, you just won't like how it feels. Why? Why? I'll tell you why. Because it's poison. And I don't mean that in a judgmental sense. I mean that in a, like, your body tells you, why are you putting this poison into me? You're very aware, you're very sensitive. The next area of life where you change because you've become a conscious person is in the area of communication. I didn't even know this existed. I didn't even know that you could communicate very consciously, and that could be a massive part of your life. But I think where I began is I listened to the book Non-Violent Communication, and that helps you understand some basic stuff about communication. So I would maybe recommend beginning there. Secondly, if you've ever experienced coaching or therapy, you know that there is a certain way of speaking, a way of expressing yourself that is way more authentic and clear. It's like within those spaces, do you have sufficient space to actually voice yourself? But what's interesting is when your therapist or your coach is speaking to you, they're very considerate, as opposed to speaking from your mind in a unconscious way. So notice you can have conversations and people are just blabbermouthing. They're just blurting out stuff. They're just on autopilot. They're not really considering their words. They're not really speaking from themselves. There's a deeper part of everyone. And we can all speak from this place. But when we're unconscious, we just speak from that mind place, And it's learning the art of consciously expressing yourself, or consciously listening to another, or consciously sharing feedback. I think one of the main values here is just honesty. So as a conscious communicator, you will take the time to be deliberate, to be conscious, to be mindful with your language, to be accurate, to be emotionally aware of yourself, and to express those emotions. Really, conscious communication is just speaking properly. That's how it is, really. Once you start doing it, you realize that this is the only way to communicate. I think the catalyst for me, man, was training to be a coach, a professional coach, helped me to become equipped with the right tools to actually speak and listen properly. Also, if you go through something like a process of therapy or coaching, you can also learn by absorbing like how people express themselves, what they do say, what they don't say, where they speak from. So really, it's an intuitive thing that you can learn to do. So a conscious person does this and learns to communicate consciously, because if you don't, you won't really be able to speak to people in life. You won't really get through to them, and they won't get through to you. Value consciousness, value truth, and align your communication with that. One more area of your life that is changed as you become a conscious person is you really value yourself. You really value things like self-care, self-development, self-actualization, self-transcendence, and altogether, you understand that life is about growing yourself, evolving yourself, awakening yourself. A conscious person is someone who probably takes psychedelics. A conscious person is someone who definitely meditates. The way that you know that someone is a conscious person is because you can feel it in their energy. You can feel it from them. You know that they take care of themselves. You know that they're on the path. There are so many different areas of life which I didn't cover in this video where you can apply more consciousness and you can change. Realize that it's literally all across the board. You know, it's not just in dating, relationships, health. It's everything. You become a different person. You are living in a different paradigm. This is how you live the good life. You become a conscious person. Yeah. Okay, man. Final thing from me is going to be this. If you know in your heart that you want to be a conscious person, or you want to be a more conscious person, and you would benefit from a process of working with someone to help you do that, I do offer coaching which pretty much specializes in this area of becoming more conscious. So if you're interested, man, and you'd like to work with me one-to-one, you can see the link in the description. You can even book a free call with me. Otherwise, my friend, good luck with this. Know in your soul that this whole thing, man, it would take care of itself if you listen to yourself. So make sure you do that. And otherwise, my friend, lots of love. Take care, and as always, man, peace.